Welcome back to the Upper Tier Football Show, the football podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Also head over to Anchor if you want audio versions of our show. This is our weekly Upper Tier Transfer Show, and joining me this week is Fergal. Fergal, how are you, my man?
Great, yeah.
The fuck?
Representing the Spurs, no less.
Sorry to hear that.
Someone has to.
And as always, my co-host on the show, Dean. How you doing, my man?
Liverpool are shy.
That's fair enough. This won't be relative, Ian and Dean. This is going out in a week.
They'll be even worse next week. We're playing Man United away next week. We'll definitely be shy next week.
Oh, yeah. Right, let's delve into some of the news going around at the moment in terms of transfers. Broke last night. Liverpool have more or less signed at this stage Konate in a £30 million transfer. Dean, what was your thinking on that?
Yeah, knew it was going to happen. We only talked about last week with Mark saying it was kind of the best kept secret. Well, wasn't much of a secret anymore in football, but we said that the day was going to happen sooner rather than later, and it was basically both parties trying to keep it quiet. But I think John W. Henry, after the fiasco with the ESL during the week, he done the same with Fabinho after we lost a few years back. He just kind of out of the blue. I think that was just to kind of soften the blow, but yeah, we're still shy.
It's really going to take an Mbappe to soften that blow, really, isn't it, when you think about it?
I'll be cheered up if we sign Mbappe, Sancho, Haaland, Varane, just a 1.5 billion overhaul in the summer, please.
Forget about financial fair play. Fergal, Graham Potter came out this week trying to be realistic about Yves Bissouma, saying it looks like he's probably going to lose him. There's no doubt. Apparently, Liverpool, Arsenal, and the two Manchester clubs are in for him. What you thinking on him? He's been very good this season.
And who, Bissouma?
Yeah, Bissouma off Brighton, yeah.
Yeah, he's good, but jeez, Christ, I don't know. No, being honest with you, a lot of the news, transfer news, I'm kind of at this moment I'm turning a deaf ear to at the minute, because I'm actually worried about Spurs getting a manager. Never mind fucking anything else. Jesus Christ, they need to get a manager. And how can some team respect a 29-year-old giving you instructions? Like, it doesn't wash with me. Ryan Mason's, he looked lost the other night, even though.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there, dear Fergal. Like, Spurs fans, there's talk of Harry Kane leaving in the summer. There's Bale going back to Real Madrid. Like, Spurs look like they could miss out on any sort of European football for next year. But like, as a Spurs fan, I completely understand you're not worried about transfers at the moment. But who realistically would you like to see come in to replace Mourinho? Because Roy Mason is the man.
To replace Mourinho, being straight up with you, your man from Leipzig, RB Leipzig, he looks like he'd be a good bet. Or even Simeone. I think he wouldn't be a bad bet either. But if you're talking about the temporary basis, Harry Redknapp should have been asked to come back and just manage them until the end of the season. Not put a 29-year-old kid in charge of them. It's just, even leave Ledley King in charge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't put the likes of Ryan Mason there. He's like what did they say? A fish out of water. You know? And like you say about Harry Kane, if Harry Kane goes, the only person that's going to replace him in the world is Mbappe. He's the only person that can replace him, if anybody. So hopefully, with Liverpool not interested in him, I hope Liverpool not have fight in their hands with Mbappe, getting him into England. You know, the Spurs put an offer into him as well, because there's no one going to replace him. There's no one out there. Only your man Haaland and Mbappe. Haaland you might get, but there's only two, him and Mbappe. The only players to replace.
Yeah,
it's a big shout, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. But I mean, you must be happy with the level of managers that are being mentioned in the circle. I mean, they're talking about Nuno off Wolves. They're talking about Nagelsmann off Leipzig. They're talking about Sarri. They're talking about the other guy who was at Leipzig as well, the Spartan director, Ralf Rangnick. like it's a decent level of quality that they're looking at, you know.
Well, at least if one of their managers come in, they're all attack minded. Not like Jose. Jose just defending, you know. It's ridiculous. It's just no. You're getting me annoyed now. You're going to start winding me up now because I'll get annoyed about Spurs. I'll be like your buddy there. And I'll be effing and blinding out in a minute.
I'm giving you the opportunity here to come on and spread some positivity about Spurs.
No, how can you be positive?
Well, you have a cup final, haven't you? A cup final.
Yeah. And you want me to be positive about that? We're going to get destroyed.
I don't know about that.
And they're going to play a second fiddle team probably against us, and they'll still make shit of us.
I don't know. I think you've a real good opportunity tomorrow.
We had a chance if Mourinho was still there. Mourinho he could have hung on to him for this week and just because he's one manager that would know how to defeat the team.
So, you know, some Spurs fans would say that you have a better opportunity without Mourinho there.
Did you watch the match the other night with Roy Mason in charge?
I did.
They were shocking. Southampton could have been 5 or 6 up before half time.
Yeah.
They took chances away. They should have been well up from half time.
So, the worry is though, I understand what Fergal's saying. Like if Jose is there, like he's been in this predicament before, he knows how to set teams up, especially when you're playing a superior team. The worry I'd have if I was a sports fan is Ryan Mason could pick an attacking 11 tomorrow and try and go toe to toe with them and get beaten 4 or 5-0. So. You know, he's trying to leave a footprint now where Levy will look and say, you know what, we'll actually go with you. If that was the situation Liverpool was in, I'd be completely against it. It's not as big as Lampard at Chelsea because he had prior experience, but the worry with Mason and sports fans would be if he does try and go out tomorrow and try and stick the chest out and say, well, I have Dele Alli there, you know, I have attacking players, let's try and go at them. That sports team aren't suited to trying to attack teams because they haven't done it in such a long time. Exactly. They could get an awful hiding tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing. You get to Wembley, and other teams, you just get to Wembley, you're one chance to win silverware in 30 odd years. And I feel we're going to get hopped off. We're going to get hopped off. And the problem with all this is that Kane will want to go. He'll want to win silverware. You'll have all these good players and we need to hold on to Kane. We need to do our best to hold on to Kane and them players. Like he's obviously our biggest fight. And Bale will, as you say, go back to Real Madrid. And if we lose Bale back to Real Madrid, and let's be honest about it, he is showing sparks of old form there. Bale is starting to show a little bit of form, and he's going to back to Real Madrid because he'll rather sit on the bench and know he's going to get a medal every year.
What pissed me off about Gareth Bale, if I was a sports fan, was he came out recently and he talked about, oh no, I'm going back to Madrid, I have a year on my contract. It was like, at that stage when he said that, there was still the sniff of getting top 4. It's kind of outreach now. Like, you must be, as a sports fan, thinking to yourself, well, if he's obviously resigned to going back to Madrid already and doesn't want to stay at Spurs, that kind of shows that the likes of Zidane and all was right about him, that he only wants to go where it's sunny, if you get me. Like, you come out at the end of the season and say, look, I'm weighing up my options, but you don't come out in the middle of a season and say, oh no, I'm back to Madrid in the summer. Like, especially given that, like, the history he has at Spurs.
And also the history he has at Madrid. I mean, it's been an awful time from him in Madrid as well the last year or two, you know, like he's been ostracized, if you like, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
Fergal, I'm going to cheer you up here, right? Eric Lamela apparently has held talks with AC Milan and Napoli about a summer move. I know him going out the door is definitely going to bring a smile to your face.
Lamela?
Yeah, Eric Lamela.
You know, my sister-in-law's acting the bag of hair behind me. No boiler. Now you've vlogged. I'll get outside, mate. No, give me a second. Please, I'm wrecking my head now. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, Grant.
What do you call it? Lamela going, hey, could you not have told me Ben Davies was going? Hey, Davies. I can't. Liverpool are interested in him. They can have him. Liverpool can have Ben Davies. We'll swap him.
Nah, we've already bought a Davis already, so we don't want another one. We're not even playing the one that we bought.
Yeah. we have a good centre half there for you as well. Rodon, you can have him as well. Lamella going to AC Milan, that's not going to cheer me up. At least he tries to attack the team when he comes on. Like, he's not afraid to tackle either.
He's a loose cannon, though, isn't he? In fairness,
yeah, but he's still not afraid to tackle, and he's not a pussy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He gets in, he gets stuck in. He's not afraid to tackle.
In terms of Kane, what you're thinking on Kane is this talk of leaving? Is it legit, or do you think is he just void? Like, you think of how long he's been there? He's a Spurs guy. You know, if he really wanted to leave for trophies, is now the time really in your career to be leaving for trophies?
Well, let's be honest about it. I have to be straight up. Yeah, I think he's going to go, and I think he's going to go to. There's talk that he's going to go to City, and like that'd be a kick. I'd rather he went to Europe, go into mainland Europe and play for a team over there. That's fine. Real Madrid, whatever it is, go over there and play for whoever, but don't play for like a Premier League team, because you're going to it's going to destroy them. Like, he'll come back and he'll haunt them. He'll come back and he'll banging goals left, right, and centre.
Like, I'd be very surprised if he was to leave the Premiership, because with a World Cup, campaign coming up over the next year or two and stuff, like, I mean, he has to really stay there, doesn't he, in order to keep that kind of solidify that whole England spot and stuff like that,
Look, if he went over to Real Madrid, Barcelona, and he was banging in goals over there, don't tell me Southgate would turn him down. He'd have him there back in the team, no problem. I just,
yeah.
Like, look, if I was a player and I was at Spurs, big, and I wasn't winning medals or anything, nothing was coming my way, and I was banging in the goals like he is, and he's a world class player. Come on, you'd want to be going out the door. You'd want to look. Carrick did it. He went off and he started winning medals with United. He left Spurs and he went to United, and that's why he left. He wanted to win medals.
Yeah, but I mean, it's is it not a bit late in the day to be worrying about things like that when you think of Harry Kane? What's he now? 28, is he?
27, I think.
27.
I hope you're right, Noel. I hope you're right, but I don't think you are. Yeah,
I just get the feeling with him. Like, I can't see him. I can't really see him going to City or United. He might twist United's hand in terms of if Cavani goes, but I can't see him fitting into their structures or fitting into their teams in any way. The only place I could see him potentially going probably is link up with Poch again at PSG. But then, I mean, look at the talent that PSG have at the moment. How do you drop Harry Kane into that?
Swap. We'll take Mbappe. If Kane can go that way, we'll take Mbappe. That's the fair swap.
I don't think Spurs would ever be in the circle for Mbappe. I mean, you might have if you hadn't blown all the money on the new stadium and we're still at White Hart Lane, but there's no way he has that type of bread available.
That's the frustrating thing. We've a world-class stadium. And like, let's be honest about it. You go through, as we did in the podcast previous, you go through most of the team. They're good players. They are Premier League players. But Mourinho has got them playing shit. They really are boring. As Jamie Redknapp said on TV the other night, they're a hard team to watch.
So if you were going to make 3 signings this summer or 3 positions, where would you be targeting? Where do you feel you need reinforcements?
Centre, basically in defence. Centre half, to a right back and a left back. I would definitely be looking at them. And then I'd still keep Alderweireld, because I just think now that Mourinho's gone, Alderweireld will start coming good again. He was kind of pushed out in the cold for a while with Mourinho, and he is their best centre half there. He is by far centre half.
So Jose came in and he kind of unsettled everything. You know what I mean? When Poch was there, he kind of had a set 11. He had his own style of football. Then for Mourinho to come in and just drastically change the approach to games, to going from having some sort of attack about you. Like, even the Champions League final, let's be realistic. Spurs were the better team that night, but we obviously scored the goals in that Champions League final. You think they'd have kicked on? Then Poch getting sacked. I was going to say shagged there. Poch getting sacked did come as a bit of a surprise. But what was Daniel Levy maybe thinking when Mourinho came in, because it's only going one way. He only knows one way of playing football. And when you start unsettling things and you're coming out publicly and saying Dele Alli has no want or desire or what have you, it was only a matter of time. It was too early in the season to get rid of Dele Alli. He couldn't afford to sell him in January because they were down, the players out were injured and what have you. So the best thing was to get Mourinho out. But it all comes back to, like you're saying, talking about your three, like what would be your ideal signings in the summer. Realistically, you have to think about who's going to come to play Europa League football or no European football at all. But this still all stems back to who's going to be the manager. They have to go out and get someone like of your man Nagelsmann or what's your man's name? Ralph
Ragnick, yeah.
Ragnick, someone like that, someone who has a bit of appeal, because there are players in Germany that will sign for Spurs. There's some very, very good players in Germany that will come along with them. The two of them have had ties with RB Leipzig. You know, like there are some good players out there. But going back to Kane, I honestly can't see him going. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Noel. I think it's all about money, Fergal, because he's not going to go to City and play in a. He wants to be playing every week unless he's injured. He's not going to go there and be a big part. And City don't have an out-and-out striker who plays every single week. There's weekends where they don't play strikers. Man United, I don't think they'll have the money to go out and spend 120, 130 million, not with the troubles they have in the team as well. So it could be a case of Kane staying. Well, you have to be trying to. You're talking about new signings. Dele Alli surely comes back into that team under a new manager, because with a full pre-season, he's probably not going to go to the Euros. Refreshed, rejuvenated. I can't see him going to PSG. Realistically, I can't see him going to PSG. So Dele Alli could be like a new signing next season as well.
Oh, it could be, yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I'm so frustrated what Mourinho's done to the team. For an attacking team that they used to be brilliant under Poch, even though his record at the end wasn't great. It was brilliant to watch. I enjoyed watching because they were attacking. They were always on the attack, and they did play nice football.
So did the neutrals.
And but Mourinho is just like, I don't understand it. Maybe one of you can explain to me, why would you keep swapping your centre halves around? Keep bringing in new centre half. They should be a set centre half. Like if it's Alderweireld and Sanchez, or Sanchez and Rojo, or whatever, but they should be week in, week out, unless injured. They should be starting every week. You have to settle the defence. You can't keep swapping the defence. It's one position without swapping.
It's like he nearly does it just to mess with players, isn't it? It's just to create a bit of upheaval, like, you know.
It's like he's messing with their heads and just, I'm the boss here. You know, I'm the boss. This kind of crap.
The talk around Sarri coming in would be very interesting. He's very familiar, obviously, with the Premier League. Very, very familiar with London, obviously. But there's also talk that he might potentially bring with him Paulo Dybala.
He'd be nice.
That could be an interesting move in terms of the decision making on the next manager. There's also talk Southampton, the lad of Southampton, Yannick Vestergaard, that apparently you're interested in him. He looks a baller. There's a bit about him. And also the talk of Max Aarons at Norwich, who's having a fantastic season, which is could be an interesting one as well. But I'd imagine with Norwich, they probably won't want to let go of any of their players. Or for decent money anyway. You're being linked with a number of players at the moment, but as Dane says, the decision on the manager has to happen sooner rather than later, because I mean you need to get that in there so he can put his plan in place for the transfer window coming up, and present it to Levy, obviously, to get it going, because it's looking like a lot of clubs this season as well. They're going to be moving and getting their business and their deals done early. They're not going to be hanging around till the likes of August and that to be signing players.
Just on that, Noel, what you were saying there about teams, like how quickly has the season gone by? Like there's 6 games left. Some teams only have 5. What is Levy waiting for? it's a week, over a week now since a week since Mourinho got sacked. Like, there's no standout like stamped on like this is who we're trying to go for. They need to get a manager in the next couple of weeks. That the names that have been mentioned: Nuno Esposito, Santo, Sarri, Nagelsmann, Ragnac. There was talk as well. Your man that's at Southampton, the manager of Southampton. There was talk of trying to get him in as well. They need to get someone in as soon as possible, because if a manager comes in, say when the season finishes, straight away you have the Euros, he's going to be 10 weeks at least behind with trying to get signings done, depending on how far players go into the Euros and all. So Spurs could realistically be looking at, like it could take them 2 or 3 months into the season before they get going. So I understand the fans' frustration. We had it with our old owners and old people on the, like years ago, people on the board and all. But the unrest with Levy as well. Like, the fans are not happy with him whatsoever. They want shut of him, same way the United fans want Glazers gone. If they don't get a manager soon, this is going to have a knock-on effect for the start of next season. So I could imagine you're worried about that as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, when you were mentioning managers there, like Espirito Santos, the only thing I think positive with him, he might get the best out of Doherty, because Doherty has played shocking for Spurs since he's left Wolves, and he was brilliant with Wolves. Like, let's be honest about it, he was brilliant with Wolves, and I think he might just get the best out of Doherty if he came. Like, he wouldn't be the worst manager to have in charge.
Yeah. Doherty is out injured at the moment, but you talk about when you're in a team like Wolves, the expectation on Wolves, they weren't going to win the league, but they had such a high standard. They had that togetherness. They had the same kind of bond. I'm not saying they don't now, but they had the same kind of bond that Liverpool did last year. You know what I mean? You know, they all came up together. They brought in a few names just to tweak a few bits and pieces. But you can see when they play well, you can see that it's a close-knit group. Yeah. Doherty coming into a negative approach, and like where he's used to playing attacking football with Spurs. But with Esposito Santo, if he came in, we were talking last week with Mark, one of the United lads, about Adama Traore. That could be a great signing for Spurs as well. If Esposito Santo was to come in, like you have Doherty and Traore on the right hand side, that'd be very, very optimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a case where they really have to nail a quality manager down who makes it look attractive for players to come in. But they
made a point there now about getting signings done early, because they go to the Euros. These players go to the Euros and they have a great Euros. The price is going to go up again. Yeah, and then Spurs will be turned off by that. Yeah. You know, if you get business done before the Euros, you might get decent players in for not exactly. There's no decent price in there for a player. They're overvalued, all of them. Just you might get it cheaper, put it that way.
It also takes a new manager coming in time to assess a squad as well. I mean, any manager that comes in, he's not really going to know these players, you know what I mean? And he has to try and convince, obviously, the prize asset in Harry Kane to try and convince him to stay.
Yeah.
Which really raises the game in terms of the Carabao Cup final. I mean, that's vital. In potentially making that decision making, because if Spurs were able to pull that win, then that might show Kane that there is progress there. But then I mean, Kane came out there during the week talking about the whole situation with Mourinho and saying that he was only told 10 minutes beforehand, and you know there was no discussion or anything like that. And you know he came out and he was kind of nearly protecting Jose in terms of his exit, stuff like that. No, which I thought was kind of weird. Now I know him and Jose were very close, as in the captain, and he had a bond with Jose there, and he kind of understood him better than any of the other players, if you like, in terms of what he was trying to achieve. But it was kind of it was a weird move, wasn't it? Really, when you think about it, to turn around and say, "Oh, I was only told 10 minutes beforehand," and you know what I mean? What are you going to do? I mean, it's not like Levy was going out asking Harry Kane's permission to fire him. I mean, Mourinho was gone and that was it. Decision was made. But I got the feeling, and listened to what Harry Kane was saying, some of the interviews and quotes and all, it left a bit of a sour taste in his mouth, like he should have had more. So hopefully if Levy's doing the right thing in terms of trying to keep Kane there, maybe he's getting Kane involved, maybe saying, well, what do you think in terms of the process of bringing a new manager in? That might help your case in terms of keeping him as well.
But Kane, just what you were saying there, Niall, about Kane, and he thought about, you only find out 10. like, for all we know as well, like, if he is really wanting out, that could be his agent in his ear saying, you go out there now and you have to kind of sour that relationship with Levy. You have to go out. If you really want to get out of the club, you can't be all, because Harry Kane, he never comes out and says anything bad. Like, you know what I mean? He's kind of England's yes man under Gareth Southgate. You know, he kind of has to step away from that. If, to me, there was shades of he's trying to plant that little seed, you know, that the relationship with Daniel Levy isn't that great. And maybe he's thinking to himself, you know, if I can go out there and kind of turn the fucking screw with the fans, that maybe he doesn't want Levy there. You know, maybe he's looking at the way the club is run as well, because it was a bold statement to come out and say that, because like a lot of captains, unless it's open and publicly that they don't get on or that the best buddies or what have you, a lot of captains would kind of just veer off that question. Do you know what I mean? In an interview. So maybe it could be walking one way. He could be trying to get the fans to really push on Levy and put the foot down on his neck, or it could be just trying to sour the relationship, and maybe he is trying to force his way out.
I don't think Harry Kane will be that type of individual. I don't think that's his personality, to be honest with you. I think if Harry Kane wants to go, he'll come out and just say he wants to go. And the Spurs fans, although they'll hurt at losing him, they'll probably wish him well for the service that he's given them and stuff like that, and do it the right way. I don't think he'd want to create a situation where a load of negative comes out and a load of negativity, and then, like, you know, he lives with the fans behind him who he's revered for, what, a decade or whatever it is. He's been unbelievable for them. Like, it would take a lot to sour those fans against Harry Kane, wouldn't it? Like, Fergal, what was your thinking on
it? I think you're right. I don't think he. Yeah, he's probably not happy with Levy in charge, all right, but I don't think he would do that, because he doesn't want to walk away. If he does walk away from Spurs, he doesn't want to walk away and the fans giving out shit about him, giving out, oh, you snake and all this kind of thing. He wants to walk away, and rightly so. Walk away with your head held high. You did a great job for Spurs. If you do go, hopefully you don't, but if he does go, he can walk away and hold his head high. And he's been a great servant to Spurs, no matter what happens. Anyway, so it's like, and whether he is sour the taste with Levy or not, and is trying to make the exit door a little bit easier for himself, whether he is or not, he still can go away holding his head high anyway, because he has done a great job for Spurs. He'll always be a Spurs great. Whenever he goes, he'll always be a Spurs great anyway.
And to be honest with you, I think even if he was trying to throw Levy under the bus and stuff like that, that'd make him even better in the eyes of the Spurs fans, probably not hated, you know.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's going to be an interesting couple of months, but they have to move quick. They have to move fast, because once these players go off to the Euros, it's not only even a case of the values of the players if they have a really strong Euros, but it's like it's even trying to get hold of players and get hold of agents and trying to nail down deals. These players tend to turn around and go, no, I don't want to know about deals at the moment. I'm focusing on the Euros. And before you know it, then it's July, and then you're into pre-season and you still haven't sealed the players that you want and stuff like that. But I think, as you said, the critical thing for Spurs over the next, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks is they have to nail down a manager. Has to be a quality manager. He has to have a plan. He has to get a chance and get a few games on a number of training sessions to assess the squad. And then he has to be able to present a plan to Levy of who he needs. And then Harry Kane just needs to make a decision. End of story.
The one other thing they have to do now as well is get a deal done for the name of the stadium. Like they can't call it the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium forever. They need to get the name sorted, whether it's Audi sponsor it or whatever. Then the income will start coming in. Then they have the money to buy.
What?
They need to.
We spoke about Kane. What about Bale? If the right manager came in the right situation, would Bale stay? Is Bale like totally gone? Is it a dead end, or is there a chance that he would stay?
I can't answer that. I hope he does stay. But I don't know. I don't know what goes through his head, because like you seen him at Real Madrid when he was there. He was just sitting on the bench having a great laugh when they were losing and everything. He was laughing at them. I don't know what goes through his head at half the time.
Surely he'd be excited to, like, you know, work, you know, with an Nagelsmann or potentially with a
He'd be happy if an attacking mind manager came in.
Yeah.
Yes, he would. Yeah, definitely. And I think, and if he was given a bit more freedom.
Yeah.
Like,
say. No, go on, Fergal, go on.
No, I'm just saying, if Bale was put in the role of the number 10, he'd have a field day there, I think. I just think he'd have that. he'd have that ability just to turn a screw on teams.
Yeah.
I just think putting him on the wings now I think he needs to be in the number 10 role. I really do, behind Kane or something like that.
Yeah.
I really think it would be great.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
Look, like the names that we mentioned there, like with Bale, we're talking about Bale there. If Sarri was to come in and he did like Dybala, and Kane turned around and says I'm staying, and then Bale was like, maybe it's something good is gonna happen here. Like that's a frightening front three. Gareth Bale stayed fit, Dybala and Harry Kane. Like you've like Dybala and Bale have goals in them. Harry Kane, we know he's like one of the best strikers on the planet at the moment. Like it's down to whatever man. But the main thing with Harry Kane is with the Euros, no one's going to come in with a concrete interest and sign him until after the Euros. So again, everything seems to be held up regarding Spurs, because the longer they leave it for a manager to come in, that means the wait for the Euros to be over to get players in. Then you have to try and get them all to gel together. Harry Kane could be waiting until if he has a good Euros and then 3 or 4 teams come in, there's a bidding war for him. It's a very sticky situation for Spurs to be in. But regarding Bale, like if I was him, if Sarri was to come in, if I was Gareth Bale and Sarri was to come in, you got Dybala coming in, and then Kane stayed, I wouldn't be looking to go back to Madrid. Yeah, it's sunny all year round, but you know what I mean. Spurs is his home. He's going, as bad as his last 18, 20, 24 months was at Real Madrid. Look at his goals record. Look what he's won. Do you know what I mean? When Gareth Bale turns on, he's one of the best players in the world as well. So it's kind of all the puzzle pieces are laid out on the table, and it seems to be the centerpiece around the table is whether Harry Kane stays, and then if the likes of Sarri was to come in with Dybala, if Harry Kane was to stay, or if Gareth Bale was to stay, and if they get this centre half in, I know it's the same in most clubs, but it's a very, very critical situation, sticky situation that they're in. So I'm just glad you're in it and not us.
But they need to, as you say, nail down the manager straight away. They need to sort that out. Get that sorted, let the manager get in, get his feet under the table and start sorting things.
Yeah, well, I'd say Levy's clever enough. Like, I mean, he knows what needs to be done there.
He is clever.
I mean, he knew as well. I mean, we've known for a long time. I mean, Fergal, you've spoken to me about this for months, about how Jose Mourinho is not the man there, and this has been rumbling and going on for a long time. So Levy knew that day was coming, and he knew the right day to pull the trigger on it. Timing is everything. But he must have been inquiring and sounding out people beforehand. He didn't just pull the trigger, blankly. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's done a lot of work in the background already on who he wants to bring in potentially,
I hope so. But I always why would you? I just still can't get over. Why would you put a 29-year-old in charge of realistically what they should be? It's a top 6 club. 29-year-old. I don't see him getting respect off some of these players. I just don't see him.
Ledley King would have been the man there.
Yeah, of course. He's a Spurs true and true man. I know Mason is, but Ledley King has the age and everything just to get them through the Man City match. Just to get them through it.
He demands respect as well. Ryan Mason's 29. There's 5 or 6 in the squad that are older than him. They're going to be looking at him. Like, they may be wrong and they might be thinking, Ryan Mason, he's ex-Spurs player, horrific injury and all. But footballers nowadays don't give a fuck about anything like that. You know what I mean? There's could be lads going into training and seeing him setting up training and be like, really? This is like, there's other people out there in the game that they could have brought in. Ledley King would have been perfect. He demands respect. You know what I mean? He's a legend there.
Yeah.
So
Gareth Bale, I just can't see him giving instructions to Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale, listen, take him on board.
Well, I don't think he brought Ryan Mason in to really do that. I think he brought Ryan Mason in because I think maybe he already had someone pinpointed for the job, but couldn't get them in there quick enough. And I don't think Ryan Mason's not going to be sitting in the changing room at the Carabao Cup final, turfing out instruction after instruction after instruction. These guys know what's on the line. There hasn't been a trophy there in years. This is their opportunity to win a trophy. They don't need to be told to go out and do their job. They know what their job is. The shackles are off now. Mourinho was gone. It's an opportunity to go out there and express yourself and change the history of the club. If you need to be told on a day like that what your job is, then what the hell are you doing in football? Anyway, what's Gareth Bale doing footballing if he's waiting on instruction from anyone on a day like that day? You know what I mean? So it's I think they'll announce a manager pretty quickly. I'd be surprised if we don't hear the announcement of a manager within a week. I'd be very, very surprised. And I'd say, like, obviously Mason, he's just a stopgap, really. You know what I mean? He was just thrown in there. They found someone, get in there, do a job for us. You know what I mean? But those players know what's on the line on that final. You know, they know the chances of them lifting silverware, lifting that silverware, even though it's like the League Cup. It's not a huge thing, but it's a massive thing in terms of Spurs. And it could be the catalyst that catapults them forward. A new manager, potential new signings, potential chance to hold on to Harry Kane, potential chance to hold on to Gareth Bale. You know, next season could be massive for Spurs if all these things just slot into place, you know?
Yeah. Let's hope.
Yeah, but as always, lads, pleasure. This has been your upper tier transfer show, Tottenham Hotspur edition. Fergal, appreciate you coming on. Dean, as always, the co-host. Yeah, absolutely. Say a novena, light a candle, whatever it takes. Listen, we're Liverpool fans. We do it every season. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification. You'll also get audio versions of the show on Anchor. Till next time, lads, absolute pleasure.
Bon voyage.
Yeah.